Hello, how are you? Happy Wednesday, What the Flick? I am Christy, that is Matt. It is the two of us. We're gonna have some news for you, some reviews, a wide variety of stuff. A veritable smorgasbord, if you will. But first I wanna mention real fast that Matt and I both saw, I keep wanting to call it Captain America.
Nope.
It's Avengers Infinity War.
Yep.
Captain America is one of the 36 various comic book characters who are in this. We're gonna have a whole review for you tomorrow and possibly a whole nother separate spoiler talk because stuff happens. But real fast though, what was your experience like?
Wow.
You went to the 10 a.m. yesterday. I went to the 7 p.m.
It's awesome. Great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you followed me on Twitter, I was tweeting about it a lot after I saw it. I was very impressed. Very impressed.
Well, then you and I are gonna have a whole lot of fun tomorrow. I was not quite as impressed as you were. I might be mixed on this. Don't at me, as the kids say. Yeah, I'm a little mixed. But it's funny, I don't know if it's like this at your early morning showing, but I saw it at 7 o'clock at the beautiful El Capitan Theater here in LA and Hollywood. Every new character that came up, it was like, woo, Shuri, woo, you know, Black Panther, woo, Doctor Strange. Like each new person, it was like it was a concert.
Oh, there wasn't as much of that.
Oh,
no, I
there
think
was
not
lots of
enough
wooing.
people. Oh, no. I mean, there was some wooing, but it was not as woo-woo as yours. There was less wooing, and so...
it was very raucous at my showing.
No, it was less
fun.
raucous, I think, because people were still waking up. Like a 10 a.m. screening, that means you got to be there at like 9, which is not the end of the world.
Yeah. But, checking in is time consuming.
Right.
Yeah.
So...
Well, we'll have a whole talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I look forward to it even more than I was already, because we're going to disagree. And my friend Tara McNamara, who was on here last week, is going to come back, and she was there with her little boy, and so we'll have thoughts. We'll have thoughts on things.
Yes.
It's a very long movie. It is 2.5 hours long. Each Avenger gets 1 minute, pretty much. And then there's still extra stuff in the credits. Yeah, I got to stay to the absolute end of the credits. They just stay. They put stuff. They put stuff at the end.
Don't stay.
I don't usually stay, but I have been admonished. Stay.
Yeah. Okay.
Till the absolute end. Anyway, so there's other stuff going on. There really is other stuff going on in the world besides Avengers Infinity War. Impossible to believe, but it is. Also going on is a thing called CinemaCon.
Right.
Which happens in Las Vegas every year. It used to be called Show West, and it is what? It's where the studios do their spiel for the movie theaters?
Yes.
Tell us about CinemaCon.
So the real power in Hollywood is within the theater owners, right? And so, for instance, the reason we don't get day and date releases, meaning something in theaters and on home video, is because the theater owners say, oh, no, you don't get to do that. We need at least 3 months before you put a movie in our theaters or on home video, and if you cut that down, we're not gonna show your movie because the theater owners need people in the movies. And so since they are still carrying a lot of water in Hollywood, that's where we're still at. So CinemaCon is an opportunity it's a convention of the theater owners and people who buy the films, and Hollywood comes out and does these great big presentations. All the distributors, all the filmmakers come out, and it's kind of a dog and pony show. And it's basically like, look at all the cool stuff we're gonna be doing, and sign your contract to show our movies, and please keep showing our movies.
Yes, but then the media, because of the world in which we live now, where like every second of the day is a deadline, you have to constantly be filing little nuggets of info that you get from these things. So Sony did their big spiel, in the last day or so, and Quentin Tarantino was there talking about his movie that may not really be a Manson movie. They're trying to like throw some vagueness here as to what Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's actually going to be about. But he and Leonardo DiCaprio came and talked about that, and they do it all at Caesars, and
they do it at Caesars. Brad Pitt and DiCaprio are going to star in this movie.
Yes.
Tarantino has said that they're basically the Redford and Newman of the movie, and he thinks that's how well they work together.
I can see that.
Tom Rothman said it's one of the best scripts he's ever read, if not the best script he's ever read.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, look, like I'd love to see another great movie from Tarantino. I was a little bit, I think, underwhelmed by Hateful Eight.
I didn't love Hateful Eight either. Yeah.
I think this will be interesting. They also showed some other stuff, bits from, they promised Superfly is coming up, Sicario, Day of the Soldado, Equalizer 2, which I'm kind of happy is coming out.
Another Jumanji. Another Spider-Man.
Listen,
another Goosebumps.
If another Jumanji is as good as the last Jumanji,
truly,
great. And honestly,
well, the point being that there's nothing new. Everything's like another something, right?
Right. And you know, as we've talked about, and I say all the time, like until I'm looking at everybody watching, you complain about sequels and remakes and reboots. Stop going to them. If we all collectively stop going to them, to all of those movies, they're going to give us new stuff. That being said, with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson slated to be in a Men in Black movie.
That'd be fun.
I'm kind of into that.
Yeah, I'd watch them together again. That'd be fun.
I mean, Chris Hemsworth, as we saw yesterday, can balance action and drama and comedy all in the same character, all in the same movie.
Opposite a talking raccoon.
Yeah.
Not everyone can do that with a raccoon. So yeah, that was one of the funnier bits in Avengers we saw yesterday. Anyway, so that is happening. Take it all with a grain of salt. As you say, it's a big dog and pony show. It's a big rah-rah fest, and the media is a cog in this vicious machine that has to report, oh boy, there's stuff that's coming and you're gonna love it. And so I'm not sure we're gonna get a whole lot of like skeptical reportage here of what happens in Vegas.
There was also a report yesterday, and you know, of course, this video, we won't see any of this. We won't get to see any of it probably until the movie releases, but I guess they showed, Disney showed a whole scene from Solo, a Star Wars story. And my understanding is it's a scene between Han and Lando gambling for the Falcon.
Oh, that's a thing you want to see.
Which a couple people said was good.
That is canonically accurate.
We're also getting a bunch of trailers that come out, and we'll talk about those later in the show. But speaking of trailers, we saw when we were at the movie the other night, because we went and saw Super Troopers 2.
Which we're going to review in a little bit, Super Troopers 2.
Right, we saw the trailer for The Purge.
The first Purge.
The first Purge.
It's a Purge-quel. It's the first one.
A pre-purge.
Every superhero gets an origin story.
Right. This is the binge.
The Purge
Before you
does
purge,
too.
you have to binge.
This explains the world in which the Purge was forged, and you and I both kind of reacted viscerally to it, like, wow, like, is this a time? Is it ever a time? But is this now a time to like glorify gun violence? We both kind of like recoiled from it.
Well,
Like,
and it wasn't so much.
though?
My thoughts weren't so much about the gun violence so much as I guess I hadn't really thought about the Purge previously, but now, you know, and okay, sure, look, I'm going to get real political, and if you're a Trump fan, you're going to be really mad. But I can't help but wonder, like, are we at a point right now where maybe the Purge doesn't seem that far off? Like, could this actually happen?
Well, you know what? I went back and I rewatched our reviews of the previous Purge movies. This will be the fourth, but you know, Purge election year.
I haven't seen any of them.
Well, you're going to be super lost. But the Purge election year one, the Purge election year one, when we reviewed it, it was Dave White and Bibbs and I sitting at this table saying, like, it's not that far off anymore. Like, we're here now. And that was in the middle of the election in 2016. So yeah, so is The Purge now just a documentary?
I don't know. I mean, is this the movie that tells us like, hey, y'all, here's how you get this started?
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it's still satire. Right. And I have to say, the Purge movies do get better as they go along. Purge election year was actually surprisingly good. I don't think this one has Frank Grillo in it. But anyway, the Purge screenwriter is, you know, saying this is a movie we need to tell this story still now.